It's very interesting. Let me tell you how I got connected to Tova. Before I ended up becoming a second career dating coach and shadchan, etc., I specialized in foot surgery and sports medicine. One of the people that I went to medical school with was none other than Tova's brother, Uriel Levy, who happens to practice in New York, where I live. So we had a chat in my house, maybe in my office a couple of years ago, maybe even last year. And he said, "You're in this business, you don't know who Tova Weinberg is?" I said, "No, I never heard of her. She hasn't heard of me and I haven't heard of her." So anyway, I heard that she does great work here. And really I was here because I had a wedding today at the Kotel. I had a wedding of a client's 43-year-old woman who has 3 children to a 52-year-old guy who has 2 children. One lives on the Upper East Side, one lives on the Upper West Side. They were going out for a year. I was called in to do management about 3 months ago, and that's really my expertise, management, get it to the end, and Baruch Hashem. So around that event, I decided to wrap a whole 7-day schedule of where non-stop speaking. It wasn't money involved. It happens to be a labor of love. It's something that I enjoy doing at home. It's how I spend the most of my day between 1 o'clock in the afternoon to around midnight at night. I'm worldwide, either on Zoom with people in front of me or WhatsApp video. And then if not, I'm lecturing. I do a lot of that. I was in LA the last couple of weeks, doing some work there. And Baruch Hashem, I guess the claim to fame was that I was Eliza Ben Shalom. I did some work with her on Netflix in Jewish matchmaking. So you get to work, you get to know a little bit about this stuff. So Tova raised a good point, and I think I can sort of drill it home with a nice poem. Her nose is too long, her lips are too wide. I can't possibly take that girl for a bride. She jabbers out questions, she laughs too loud. She's not that smart and only blends in with the crowd. What's that you say? I should give the girl a chance? Okay, if you say so. I won't trust my first glance. Well, what do you know? Boy, am I ever surprised. She has so many pluses that were somehow disguised. Her laugh sounds so charming. Her questions are so dear. Her brightness was hidden. Her modesty sincere. I was so arrogant with all my endless demands. Now I'm humbled to see the work of Hashem's hands. I'll always be grateful for such a wonderful wife whose menschlichkeit has enriched the days of my life. Now I'm a new dad and I have to disclose my precious baby has a gorgeous long nose. And the message is very clear. We live in an era where we have a lot of choice. It's called the too much choice syndrome. And that's creating a lot of crisis for us. There's a guy out there named Lawrence Hadjioff, and he has a great book called Would Jew Marry Me? J-E-W, not would you marry me? In there he talks about why get married and why, by the way, Tova raised the point. I wasn't going to go in that direction, but I was going to tell you something else about this. He was sitting on a plane going from London to Israel. 5 kids. And because they booked late, they couldn't get everybody in the same area of the plane. So him and his wife were in one cabin, and the kids were scattered about. And now the plane takes off, it makes it to 35,000 square feet, and it's comfortable. And now the kids start coming for things. Dad, I'm hungry, can I have pretzels? Mom, where's my Nintendo? I need to go to the bathroom, etc. Unbeknownst to him is a guy that's a year married. A little older, a year married. He looks at him and he goes, "Sir, are these all your children?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "That's interesting. My wife and I got married a year ago. We had a long conversation about this. Should we have kids or should we not have kids? And we decided, no kids. We decided the world is such a bad place. There's so much starvation out there. There are problems with the world, wars, famines. I mean, look, Israel is recipient of wars, right? Why should we bring kids into the world so they should suffer? So why should we have children?" So Lawrence Hadjioff looks at him and he says to him, "You know what? My wife and I decided to have kids to fix the problem. You and your wife decided to avoid the problem. By having children, we'll make this world a better place. You're running away from it. You're running away from your responsibility." And then he's very, very fascinating guy. He talks about this experiment that they did in New York City. Amazon has a division called Whole Foods. Stores that are organic foods and all, they're like, supermarkets. 2 psychologists went in there thinking about, we'd like to see how people deal with too much choice. So they put down 2 tables. One had 6 jellies, one had 24. If you taste, you get $1 off coupon. And they watched people's behaviors. And this is very telling when it comes to Shidduchim. When it came to tasting, 70% tasted at the table that had the 24, and 20 tasted the one that had 6. But guess what happened when it came to buying? The exact opposite. 65 bought at the table of 6, and only 15% bought at the table of 24. And the point is, people don't like too much choice. And today, if you just whip out your cell phone, you could be on 3 or 4 dating sites, platforms, dating chats, WhatsApp chats, and literally scan thousands, hundreds. And so you're at Sinai, JWed, JDate, Mumble, Schmumble. Every day is a new one. Loop. I can't keep up with them anymore. That's creating more of a crisis. What we need today is a goal. And that goal is to understand who I am and what are my needs. What makes me happy? What do I need in an individual to make me happy? And like Tova said, beauty is skin deep. It's beyond that. Look for the midos. I deal with a lot of shalom bayis. I have a case right now of an orthopedist from Philadelphia and a nurse and his wife. It was fantastic the first year and a half. She's now out of the house for 60 days. Because it was based on physical attraction. Not much depth. She was a former yeshiva girl that dipped. He wasn't really that religious. And because of the fact that now she sees that there is issues laying here in terms of depth of character, it's been a very hard road in the last 3 months. I'm trying to restore it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to pull it off. You know why? Because marriage is a spiritual path, and there's no spirituality in this couple whatsoever. Nothing. She's trying a little bit. He's not interested whatsoever. He hit her with a post-nup request, which is ridiculous. Prenup is already, negotiating the divorce before the wedding. This guy comes in with a post-nup a year and a half after the wedding. I want you to sign a post-nup. And there's already a kid involved, a year and a half. So I said to her, you know what? I don't want this marriage to be fractured. Listen to this. We'll sign the post-nup, but ask him that you want your child to go to a Jewish preschool. It's not a big request. So we had a 3-way Zoom. I said, she's going to sign the post-nup. Let me just change her name. Ruchama, tell him what you want. She says, I want our child to go to a Jewish preschool. Absolutely not. No way. I want my children to get to know Asians, blacks, Puerto Ricans. So I said to him, basically, you're writing a death sentence for your daughter. One day she's going to come home with a Puerto Rican boyfriend. Is that what you want? So very important. One of the things I teach is love and romance is not 2 people looking at each other. It's 2 people looking in the same direction. What's your hashkafa? That's what I want to know. Are you growing as a person? That's key. And while you're single, I often encourage everybody, make sure you're learning. Make sure you're going to Shurim. Make sure you're doing chesed. Make sure you're davening. Everyone at their level. Whatever it is for you. But it makes a better person. And a better person gets noticed a little bit better. That's very important. Learn how to communicate. Learn how to ask good targeted questions. There's a famous podcast in America called Headlines by David Lichtenstein. He's a multi-billionaire in real estate. But the guy's a genius. And every Motzei Shabbos, Motzei Shabbat, he invites someone and they talk about something that's important in the Jewish community. So he invited me and asked me, the topic of that week is, why are we seeing so many broken engagements? Why are we seeing such quick divorces? And I said, David, in my opinion, there's not enough effective communication when they're dating. When someone tells me after a date, and I set up a lot of people, I'm just not feeling it. I said, are you being vulnerable? Are you opening up? Are you asking better questions? Here's a PDF that I created. I will share this with anyone. It's the 100 most important questions in dating. It took me a long time, years, to put this together. But it's critical, because good communication facilitates attraction. So I want to ask you these questions. Some of them. This past summer, I was trying to help a couple. He's one of the head of AI at Columbia University. And she's a banker at Goldman Sachs. He's 50, she's 46. He's been playing her for 5 years. And I said, how did you, I got involved last year in the 5th year. Why would you stay with a guy for 5 years? And I asked them, I want to ask you some of these questions. Tell me if you ever asked each other. What are some of the things that you're proud of as an accomplishment? What are your goals in the next 3 to 5 years? What does it take to make you happy in life? What are you doing currently to maintain your spiritual growth? What are some of the challenges you faced in life? And how did you become better because of it? I'm getting an X-ray into you right now. I'm understanding who you are. Who's your friend? How long do you know that person? What do you look for in a friend? What career field did you choose? I met with a young, I don't want to call her so young, a 40-year-old woman the other night. And she called me. She missed my events. I was here in September and I was here in June. She missed my event. She says, I wish I would have had a chance to meet with you. But I said to her, I sense you're an overworker. She's a professional. And she said, you're right, I agree. I basically dove into my career and now she wakes up at 39 and a half. And she wants a 40-year-old guy. I hope she gets one. I don't know. You understand? So again, it's a... to the guys, the girl should ask this question. Do you have a Rav or a Rebbe that you're close to? That's important. Because now that you know if there's a problem. I'm actually dealing with a case right now in Israel where I need to get a rabbi involved. You understand? They're getting close to engagement, but there's no hadracha. There's no one to tell the guy what to do. I was lucky. I was a Talmud of one of the Gedolei Hador for 40 years. Avigdor Miller was my Rebbe from the time I was 12 until he passed away. And one of the things he taught us, and this was a genius of a man, every couple that's dating needs to have a mentor. And that mentor should stay with them for 3 years. I remember 3 years ago, a young woman came to me from the 5 towns, a nice Moroccan girl. And she said, I married a guy, went to the Mir Yeshiva. I remember he used to learn 2 hours. The 2 hours became an hour and a half, became an hour, I'm not suggesting how much to learn, but this guy was deteriorating badly. Half hour, 15 minutes, no more shul. Suddenly, instead of going to shul, it's now b'nai bedroom. And she said, should I divorce him? I said, absolutely not. Does he have a rabbi? Go visit him. Talk to him. She went. He called his Talmud up. He saved the marriage. It's critical that if you structure your dating and your life properly, it's rather not that hard. Understand? Are you a happy person? Not everybody answers yes to that. Do you feel yourself getting angry? There are more men in the audience, and I don't want to bias the men, but I need to tell the girls a piece of advice that I told all my daughters who were married. There are 3 qualities that are must to check out in a guy when you're dating him. Kaas, kaptan, and kamtzan. Does the guy we're all entitled to get angry once in a while, but does the guy have an issue that he has temper tantrums all the time? Watch out for that. Kamtzan. He holds back money. He's not generous. That's a problem. Person who's miserly. And kaptan. And a inflexible personality. So we have to look for that. Who's been the greatest influence in your life? How do you spend Shabbat? How would you like to spend it in the future? Because that lets me know that some people don't want guests. They're not interested in guests. Right? How do you settle differences? Marriage is negotiation. It's a not-for-profit business, and there's going to be negotiation all the time. So I want to know how you settle a difference if you have a disagreement with someone. How will you raise your children? Now, again, When you decide to ask these questions will depend on where you're holding with the Shidduch. You don't obviously ask some of these deeper questions right away, but you build. The first date is general, and then it gets more specific. Because I was in Netflix, I got a phone call from a healthcare attorney once, who I know in Buffalo. And he was in New York City. He flew in order to do a healthcare hearing with the New York State Department of Health. He finished the hearing. He went back to JFK in an Uber. It starts to look like it's going to pour rain. He gets to the JetBlue terminal. Sorry, Mr. Feldman, but there's a delay, 3 or 4 hour delay. Why don't you go over to the TWA hotel and have a drink? And we'll call you when the plane's ready. Mr. Feldman is not religious. He doesn't really know too much about the New York scene, but he was hit with an absolute shock. Because he didn't know that the TWA hotel is the dating mecca for the Orthodox Jewish world. So he walks in and he sees 200 Orthodox couples on dates. He whips out his phone. He says, Rabbi Jack, what the heck is going on here? I said, that's real dating, Matthew. They're asking targeted questions. They're not wasting their time. They're trying to determine if the person they're having a drink with is the person they want to spend the rest of their life with. These people are dating for keeps. These people are dating with intent. They want to get married. It's not about a game for them. They're trying to see if the person that's sitting with them is the person that has the values that they're looking for and what they need in order to be happy. Versus the following story. Natan was the most eligible bachelor in his town. Everyone knew it. He was handsome, well-liked, and his father was extremely wealthy. Natan made sure everyone knew that someday this business and everything else is going to be mine. He dressed well, drove a fancy European car, and was generous on dates. I hope he got his car before the tariffs kick in. Now, Nechama, the girl, stunning girl, gorgeous, came from a poor home, but she had the best taste. She dreamed about marrying a rich, handsome guy, setting up a gorgeous home, raising beautiful children who lacked nothing. True story. When she got her turn to date Natan, they were the perfect match. Natan felt a sense of pride being seen in every restaurant with a gorgeous girl, just like he felt after he bought his first sports car, like she was a kinyan, acquisition. They both wanted the best things in life and made absolutely no research into the other person's midot or midos. After all, who cares? Money can buy me anything. When Nechama and Natan got engaged, everyone thought, of course, ideal match. They were the glamorous shidduch of their city. Heads turned when they walked into the room, and people were jealous the life of wealth that Nechama would now live. Natan's father bought them a gorgeous home next to the water. All Nechama's dreams were coming true. The couple had 2 baby girls and plenty of maids to make life as easy as possible. Nechama kept a strict exercise and regimen and diet in order to remain skinny and beautiful. And she now started buying everything with the credit card that her husband gave her that she never had the chance to buy when she was living single. And no time for shorim, no time for chesed. Well, we'll deal with that some other time. Natan had many stresses at work. His father, even though he was generous, was disorganized and kept giving him different things to do. From the stress, our friend Natan gained 40 pounds in the first year. And his face had lines and wrinkles all over it. 3 years into the marriage, the glamorous couple was unrecognizable. Natan was severely overweight, and he looked like an old man who was defeated. Nechama was always angry. Natan was forever indulging his daughters. He was always desperate for their approval, so because he was never home, he had to always work, and just gave the wife credit card, buy them whatever they want, buy them. Listen to what happens next. Natan's father passes away. And as many millions of dollars that he had chovot of even more. The entire family was left penniless, except for an insurance policy that would give some money to the almanah, Natan's mother. And so for 11 years, Nechama followed Natan from city to city, from job to job, because he wasn't comfortable making an okay parnasah. He had to always go for the big and constantly fall. Try the big and fall. Try the big and fall. Until she said, enough's enough, and divorced him after 11 years. The destruction of their marriage was not surprising. After all, they had never bothered to check out each other's midot. If we had asked Natan, would you like a gorgeous girl, or would you like a nice looking girl that has good midot that'll be there for you? What would he have told us? And if we asked Nechama, instead of marrying the wealthiest guy in town with a sports car, how about a guy that has a nice job, decent looking guy, who'll be home and help you with the children and spend time with you and not fall on the soup on Shabbos? What would she have said? And this is what happens when people plow ahead without doing having any kind of strategy and direction as to what they want. So that's, it's very important. Recently, but at the same time, I want to tell you a nice story that I saw, that I felt would give chizuk to our crowd. Because we're not exactly 21 years old, and maybe I'm gonna, get ready to close with this. In England, it was the beginning of year 11 for hundreds of students. As they settled into their seats, the headmaster began to talk. The whole school was in assembly. Today's assembly is about the start of your journey in life, the start of the rest of your lives. In 2 years, all of you will be graduating. In 3 years, you'll be studying across the world in the best universities. In 5 years, you'll have started your careers. Many of you will be working for the top companies across the world. You'll then get married, after which you may buy a house. In 10 years, your path, your life will be set. Within moments after that presentation by the headmaster, a student raised his hand, said, "Can I come up to the front and make a comment?" But that wasn't normally done. And the headmaster was a little taken aback. But he gave him the microphone. Within moments, confidently, yet respectfully, the student walked up to the front. "I'm sorry, Mr. Headmaster, but let me tell you why that approach may fail you. I know people who graduated at 21 and didn't get a job until they were 27. I know people who graduated at 25 and found work immediately. I know people who never went to college but found what they love at 18. I know people who found a job right out of college making good money but hate their work. I know people who took years off and found their reasons for life, their purpose. I know people who were so sure about what they were going to do at 16 but changed their minds when they hit 30. I know people who graduated at 25 and found work right away. Right? I know people who are so sure. I know people who have children but are divorced. And I know people who are married and had to wait 10 years to have children. I know people in marriages who love someone else. And I know people who love each other but are not together. My point is, everything in life will happen according to when Hashem wants it to happen. You may look at some of your friends and say, "Oh, they're ahead of me, they're married, they have 2, 3 kids, and some of them are behind you." But everything happens at the time that Hashem will dictate. We each have our own time and our own clock. Don't let anyone make you feel bad about that. Many well-recognized individuals achieve their goals at later stages in life. Richard Branson founded Virgin Airlines at 42. Amancio Ortega launched the world-class chain of Zara at 39. Getting your college degree at 25 is still an achievement. Not being married at 40 but still happy is beautiful. Starting a family after 35 is still possible. And buying a house after 40 is still great. Don't let anyone rush you with their timelines, because as Einstein said, not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything that's counted truly counts. And this is the most important thing. You want to create a purposeful life and make an impact. That's what's important. That's the key. I'm just going to close. What are the 10 biggest mistakes people are making? And that's creating divorce, and we'll close with that. With the divorce rate today about 60%, what lessons could we learn in terms of selection? Number one, you pick the wrong person because you expect that person to change after they're married. No. Classic mistake. Don't marry someone who's very different than you, with promises that they'll change. You need to see some changes when you're dating them. Number two, you pick the wrong person because you focus more on physical attraction than on character. I've told the story, it's a beautiful story, from the Small Miracles book, Yita Halberstam and Judith Leventhal, about a young girl, a baby that was born with a defect called strawberry hemangioma, which is a defect with the whole blotch of red on her face. And when she was a gorgeous baby, blonde hair, blue eyes. When she was in elementary school, no problems. When she hit high school, not a Jewish girl, she was embarrassed because it's a co-ed school and the boys, she stayed away from the boys. After high school, she decided to get a job in New York, and she looked for a roommate. She got herself a roommate. This is before we had cell phones. She had a roommate who always got dates. She wasn't even looking for dates. She was embarrassed because of her features, her disfigurement. One night, Sue comes home. She says, Kelly, you have to do me a favor. I'm running very late. My date's going to be here to pick me up. Could you just have a chat with him, 10, 15 minutes? I'm going to take a quick shower, get my hair ready, put my makeup on. And she was embarrassed. She said, Sue, please don't do that to me. I'm embarrassed from that. She says, Kelly, you could do this. So the bell rings. The guy's name is Frank. How are you? Sue is getting ready for you, she says to her. And they start chatting. And then she's wondering, like, where are you, Sue? Come on. You told me 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Finally, she comes out. And she says, bye, Kelly. And she goes out the door. That's it. The next day, the phone rings. Remember, these are no cell phones. It's before we had cell phones. And it's Frank. Hi, it's Frank. Hi, Frank, it's Kelly. Sue's not home yet from work. I don't want to speak to Sue. I want to speak to you. Why? Because when we had a chat before she came out, you sounded very interesting. Why do you want to go out with me? I have this disfigurement on my face. No. I didn't see the disfigurement. I saw your heart. I saw your soul. I saw the quality of your character. You're the person that I want to date. He was able to look beyond the superficial. Give it time, ladies and gentlemen. He dated her. He got engaged to her. They ended up having children and grandchildren. And when medical technology discovered laser, they were able to laser it right off, and she has a clean face today. And here's a guy who was looking b'amkus, for the depth in the person. Give it time. Give the girl an opportunity. Give the guy an opportunity. Scratch the surface a little bit. Look for midos. Look for character. Because that's what's going to save you. I've told this story, and you need to hear it, about the couple who just got married 100 years ago in Romania, decided that they want to go to America, the Golden Medina, where all the relatives were. And they took all the gifts that they got, whatever they were going to take with them, they could travel with, they kept, everything else they sold. They shipped everything to the shipping department of the ship, and then they traveled to England, where they were going to get on the boat. And when they got there was a huge amount of people waiting to board the ship, and Yiddish was his primary language. He hears Yiddish screaming, someone screaming in Yiddish. So he said, let's go. He tells his bride, let's go see what's going on. His name was Shmuel. So, her name is Fegi. Fegi, let's see what's happening. He sees where's the commotion. It's by the immigration officer's desk. And there's a young boy in a cap. And Shmuel says, what's going on? He goes, he won't let me get on the boat. He says, there's something wrong with my passport. And so Shmuel he spoke English, he tries to talk to the immigration officer. Let him on, what's the problem? No. That passport is not valid. He's got to go back to the consulate in London, work it out, and come back. But he'll miss the boat. Meanwhile, the first horn blows, and Fegi's nudging Shmuel, we got to go. Our entire life is underneath that ship. Don't worry, Fegi, we'll get on the boat. We have to help a fellow Jew. Second horn. Fegi says, come on, we got to go. He says, don't worry. If we miss the boat, we miss the boat. But we have to help him. The third horn blows. The boat's out to sea. And she says, what are we going to do now? Don't worry, there are other boats. We have to help him. We're going to go back to London, get him his passport fixed. And then we'll figure it out. And the next day, the whole world found out that the Titanic sank. He saved his life. He saved the boy's life. That's what we're looking for, ladies and gentlemen. Midos, quality of character. Search for that. That's very important. Search for character. Search for someone who will be your friend. Someone you could be vulnerable with. Someone you have long discussions with. Look for the pair formula. P-A-I-R. Physical attraction. A, admiration. There's got to be something in the person you admire. A quality of character. Generosity, ambition, learns. She does chesed. Also A is acceptance. No one is perfect. We all have faults. Can you accept that person for the fact that they have diabetes or they were thrown out of high school but they got their life in order? Can you accept that? Everyone has faults. I, emotional intimacy. Can you connect? Can you open up to each other? Can you communicate? Can you be vulnerable? That's the key. And R, derech eretz. There's no place in a Jewish relationship where there's a lack of respect or derech eretz. I'm going to leave you now because I think I gave you enough.